ASMR video. It was about the folklore legends. There were 4 folklore legends in that video, and I sort of developed an interest in researching about more folklore. So I did my research, and today I have 5 legends for you guys. So the first one we have, it is the Slit-Mouthed woman, also known as Kuchisake-onna. I am 100% sure that I pronounced that incorrectly, so I'm very sorry. And then the second story we have is the Black-Eyed Children. And we have the Vanishing Hitchhiker. The fourth story, the Midnight Bus. And the fifth story, I was actually a bit hesitant to include this story or this legend because upon doing my research, I was pretty confused as to if this was a true story or this was a legend. I'm not entirely sure, but it's seriously very creepy and scary, at least for me. So I included the story. I'm just going to leave out details such as location, places, etc. But it is so famous that you might already know where this took place, if it did. So the fifth story is the ghost of room 428. Okay, these are the stories that I have for you guys tonight. Get cozy, get a blanket, and let's start. Okay, we'll start with the first one, the Slit-Mouthed woman, Kuchisake-onna. This is a legend from Japan. So, the story of Kuchisake-onna has roots in Japan's Edo period, 1603 to 1868, where tales of vengeful spirits were commonly told. Kuchisake-onna was originally a beautiful woman, often depicted as the wife of a samurai. Her beauty was renowned throughout the land, but her vanity and unfaithfulness led to her downfall. Some versions of the story say that her husband was a powerful samurai who grew increasingly suspicious of her fidelity. In a fit of jealousy and rage, he confronted her, and as a brutal act of punishment, he slashed her mouth from ear to ear, leaving her with a permanent, ghastly grin. Before killing her, he is said to have asked, "Who will think you are beautiful now?" So after her death, Kuchisake-onna's spirit became restless, unable to find peace due to the violence of her death and the shame of her disfigurement. According to folklore, she now roams the streets of Japan, particularly on misty or rainy nights, seeking vengeance on the living. She hides a horrific grin behind a surgical mask, a common sight in Japan, especially during flu season. chilling encounter. A lone individual walks home late at night. The streets deserted and silent, and suddenly a woman in a long coat and a surgical mask appears before them, seemingly out of nowhere. She asks, "Am I beautiful?" If the person responds affirmatively, she removes the mask, revealing her grotesquely slit mouth, and asks again, "Am I beautiful now?" A no response results in a swift and violent death, while a yes answer leads her to mimic her appearance on the victim by slashing their mouth with a pair of scissors. Various folk remedies have been suggested to survive an encounter with Kuchisake-onna. Some say that confusing her by giving her a weak or ambivalent answer, like "you look average," can buy you time to escape. Others suggest that throwing candy or coins can distract her momentarily, allowing for a quick getaway. Some versions claim that asking her a question in return can also confuse her, as she is compelled to answer, giving the victim a chance to flee. So the legend of Kuchisake-onna saw a resurgence in the 1970s, where reports of sightings caused widespread panic in Japan, leading to school children being escorted home. And today the story has been adapted into numerous films and television series, each time adding new layers to a haunting tale. Yikes, right? It's wild how these stories get under your skin. What would you do if you come face to face with this woman? My goodness. Okay, but I don't know. I don't think this is a true story. It sounds like a legend, but I'm not entirely sure. So I couldn't really find information on whether it's true or not, but based on the legend, I'm guessing it's not. Okay, let's move on. Story number 2. Oh no, legend number 2. The Black-Eyed Children. And I think I found that this legend comes from 2 places, either the USA or the UK, so I'm not sure where exactly, okay? The legend of the Black-Eyed Children is a relatively recent phenomenon, emerging primarily in the 1990s through online forums and paranormal websites, okay? These entities are described as children between the ages of 6 and 16, with pale skin, lifeless black eyes, and an unsettling aura. They often appear in groups of 2 or 3 and are known for their eerie, monotone voices and the overwhelming sense of dread they invoke in those who encounter them. Reports of encounters with black-eyed children typically describe them approaching people late at night, often outside their homes or in isolated areas. The children knows all windows, asking to be let in, claiming they need help or want to use the phone. Despite their innocent requests, witnesses report feeling an inexplicable and intense fear. Their eyes completely black without any whites or irises are the most disturbing feature. And once noticed, the sense of danger becomes overwhelming. Those who encounter black-eyed children often describe being paralyzed by fear, unable to move or think clearly. The children are persistent, sometimes becoming angry or frustrated if their requests are denied. Some believe that the black-eyed children are malevolent beings, possibly demonic in nature, while others speculate that they could be extraterrestrial entities or even vampires, given their need for permission to enter a person's home. So, theories about the origins of the black-eyed children vary. Some suggest that they are manifestations of the collective fears of modern society, particularly fears related to children or the unknown. Others believe that they are spirits of children who died tragically and now seek to replicate their fate in others. Despite the numerous accounts of encounters, no one knows what happens if someone actually lets them in, as most stories end before that point, adding to the chilling mystery. Today, the legend of the black-eyed children has spread rapidly through the internet, becoming a staple of modern horror stories and creepypasta. The mystery of this legend leaves me with an unsettling question like, who are they or what are they? Imagine opening the door to see these creepy eyes staring back at you. My goodness. It's a good reminder to trust your gut, or sometimes just not answer the door. Okay, now we have legend number 3, the Vanishing Hitchhiker. So this particular urban legend does not come from just one country. In fact, I found these legends from multiple countries. So I would like to think of this as a global horror legend. Yeah. So the Vanishing Hitchhiker is a well-known legend with versions found all over the world. The story often begins with a lone driver traveling along a deserted road late at night. The road is usually described as isolated, winding through dark woods or running alongside a desolate stretch of land. As the driver continues, they come across a hitchhiker, often a young woman in need of a ride. She is usually dressed in old-fashioned or formal clothing, adding to her mysterious presence. The driver, feeling compelled to help, destination, the driver tends to let the hitchhiker out, only to find out that she has disappeared without a trace. In some other versions, the driver later discovers that the hitchhiker left behind a personal item, such as a scarf, which deepened the mystery. The most unnerving part of the story comes when the driver, perplexed by the hitchhiker's sudden disappearance, decides to investigate further. They might return to the location where they picked her up or inquire with locals about her. And in many versions of the legend, the driver learns that the hitchhiker was a ghost or had died tragically years earlier, often in an accident or a similar scenario. The location she asked to be dropped off might turn out to be a graveyard, and the driver is informed that the hitchhiker was a local who died in an accident at that very spot. In some versions, it's revealed that she was a young woman who had been killed in a car crash many years ago, and her spirit continues to seek help or closure. So this legend has numerous variations around the world, with each culture adding its own twist to the story. In contemporary retellings, the Vanishing Hitchhiker legend often incorporates elements of technology and modern life, such as using a GPS or a smartphone to track the hitchhiker's location, only to find no trace of her. So this modern tale sort of adds a layer of intrigue and horror to the classic tale, keeping it relevant for today's audiences. That's clever. Keeping in mind that this is only a legend, I hope. But talk about spooky, my goodness. You think you're helping someone out of kindness and poof, they're gone. I wouldn't know what to think. Okay, fourth legend, the Midnight Bus from China. The Midnight Bus, often referred to as Bus 375 in Beijing or Bus 302 in other versions, is one of China's most famous urban legends. The tale centers on a late-night bus that mysteriously disappears along its route, leaving behind a chilling story of ghostly passengers, unexplained events, and a tragic ending. The legend has persisted for decades, fueling the imaginations of those who hear it and cementing its place in Chinese folklore. The story usually takes place on a cold, foggy night in Beijing. The time is around midnight and the streets are mostly deserted. The bus, known for being the last one of the night, as a university student or an office worker who is on his way home after a long day. As the bus continues its journey, it stops again to pick more passengers. This is where the story begins to take a sinister turn. Two men board the bus, carrying what appears to be a large sack between them. They are dressed in old, outdated clothes that seem out of place in modern times. The two men's faces are hidden under wide-brimmed hats, and their presence immediately unsettles the other passengers. The driver, noticing the strange appearance of the newcomers, hesitates, but eventually allows them to board. As the bus resumes its route, the atmosphere grows increasingly tense. The passengers, sensing that something is wrong, remain quiet, casting nervous glances at the two men and their mysterious sack. The young man begins to feel a creeping unease but dismisses it as tiredness. The bus continues along its route, passing through dark, deserted streets and empty intersections. The only sound is the hum of the engine and the occasional creak of the bus as it navigates the winding roads. As the bus moves further away from the city center, the fog thickens and the visibility outside becomes poor. The street lights flicker as the bus drives by, casting eerie shadows inside the vehicle. The two men with the sack sit at the back of the bus, their faces still obscured. The other passengers keep their distance, avoiding eye contact and remaining as still as possible. Suddenly, one of the other passengers, an old woman sitting near the front, begins to act strangely. She starts muttering to herself and then abruptly stands up, accusing the young man of stealing her purse. The young man, startled and confused, denies the accusation, but the old woman is insistent. She demands that they both get off at the next stop so she can confront him properly. The young man, though perplexed, agrees, feeling it might be easier to resolve the issue outside. When the bus stops, the young man and the old woman step off together. As soon as the bus pulls away, the old woman drops a pretense of anger and urgently tells the young man that she saved his life. She explains that when the two men with the sack boarded the bus, she noticed that they weren't human. They had no legs and were floating above the ground. She had to create a scene to get him off the bus, knowing that something terrible was about to happen. Shaken by her words, the young man and the old woman decide to report what they saw on the police. The next day, news breaks that bus 375 never reached its final destination. After extensive searches, the bus is found miles away from its route, abandoned and burned beyond recognition. Inside, the bodies of the driver and the remaining passengers are discovered, dead and unidentifiable. The two men with the sack are never found. In some versions of the legend, the bus is discovered in a completely different location, far from where it was last seen, with no clear explanation of how it got there. In others, the police find that the sack contained the remains of a dead body, adding another layer of horror to the tale. This is seriously creepy. It spoke to me quite a bit. It's one of the stories that makes you think twice about nighttime travels, and just stick to daytime travels. Okay, we have the last story. As I mentioned earlier, I am going to leave out the town, the state, the name, etc. because I don't know if it's a true story, but it seems like, but I'm not sure, and I'm just trying to be. I'm just going to leave out the name, okay? Okay, so this is titled The Ghost of Room 428. Room 428 is known as one of the most haunted locations on any college campus in the United States. The room's reputation for paranormal activity has led it to be permanently sealed, its door barred from entry, adding to the eerie mystique that surrounds it. The legend of Room 428 involves mysterious deaths, dark rituals, and ghostly apparitions, all contributing to its chilling atmosphere. So this place where it happened is considered one of the most haunted places in America. The town itself is steeped in spooky lore with numerous ghost stories and haunted sites scattered throughout the area. The university is built on land that some believe was once part of sacred burial grounds, and its long history as an educational institution is peppered with tales of tragedy and unexplained phenomena. So the building where the room is located was originally a dormitory housing students from various academic disciplines. However, it wasn't long before rumors of strange occurrences began to circulate, focusing particularly on this room. So the legend of this room centers on a student who allegedly resided in the room during the 1970s. According to the story, this student was intensely interested in the occult and practiced various forms of dark magic within the room. They reportedly kept a collection of books on witchcraft and conducted rituals late at night, often heard chanting, incantations, or scene drawing. strange symbols on the walls. So the students' behavior grew increasingly erratic over time, with reports of them speaking in tongues, writing cryptic messages, and isolating themselves from others. Fellow students and even some staff members claimed to witness unexplained phenomena in and around the room, objects moving on their own, strange noises, and an overwhelming sense of unease that pervaded the area. So the tension reached a breaking point when the student was found dead in the room under mysterious circumstances. Some versions of the legend say that the student died by suicide, while others suggest that they were the victim of a ritual gone wrong. The exact cause of death remains unclear, but what is certain is that the room's atmosphere grew even more foreboding after the incident. Following the student's death, paranormal activity in room 428 intensified. Students who were assigned the room reported a variety of disturbing experiences. Many claimed to see a shadowy figure at the foot of their bed or in the corners of the room, or sometimes even hovering above them as they slept. Some students reported hearing a soft, persistent scratching sound coming from the walls, as if something or someone was trying to communicate with them. Others described waking up in the middle of the night to find the door, which they had left unlocked, now locked from the inside. Attempts to open the door would be met with resistance, as if an unseen force was holding it shut. The most chilling account involved the appearance of the student's ghost. Described as a shadowy, indistinct figure, the ghost of room 428 is said to silently observe the room's occupants, disappearing as soon as they try to focus on it. Those who encountered the ghost often reported a feeling of intense dread, as if something terrible was about to happen. The air in the room would grow thick and heavy, making it difficult to breathe, and some students even claimed to feel invisible hands pressing down on them, preventing them from moving. As more students came forward with the terrifying experiences, the university decided to investigate. Multiple paranormal experts and investigators were brought in to study the room, each concluding that the activity was indeed unusual, though they differed in their explanations. Some suggested that the room was a gateway to another dimension, opened by the students' occult practices. Others believed it was simply haunted by the restless spirit of the deceased student. Ultimately, the decision was made to permanently seal room 428. The door was bolted shut and no one was allowed to enter. The room remained this room has become a significant part of this university's folklore, with the story being passed down through generations of students. And it has also caught the attention of paranormal enthusiasts and ghost hunters, many of whom consider the room one of the most intriguing unsolved mysteries in the world of the supernatural. Despite the room being sealed,